And hello and welcome to episode 128 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. And as this is the last episode for 2021, I'd like to just put out a huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Without your generous and ongoing support, there is no way that we could continue producing this show. So thank you very much, and we hope you will continue to support us into 2022. And if you're a first-time listener and you're enjoying the show and you would like to help support us, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench. And for as little as $1 per month, you can help support this show. Established in 2016, the Scale Modeler Supply has developed a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints designed specifically with the scale modeler in mind. Certified Australian made, SMS paints are tough and durable with a fast drying time that have been designed to use straight from the bottle, taking all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake and spray. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, cars, train, science fiction or Gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have a colour to suit you. SMS products are available through a trusted network of stores across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the US, and are also now available for the first time in the UK Froome Model Centre. Check the SMS website at www.scalemodeler.com.au to find your closest stockist. These paints are on my bench and I use them all the time, so I know that you will not be disappointed. And welcome and hello to the show, and with me I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, g'day listeners.
G'day Julian.
Good morning.
Last show for the year.
It is, yes.
End of season 5.
Yes.
We're recording this on the 11th of December to bring us back in line with our usual recording status. And if we follow this, we're going to be taking a break, and we won't be back until the 8th of January next year.
Yes.
So it'll be a nice little break for us all.
Yep.
Yes.
Hopefully get some modelling done.
Yes, well, I've got to finish that darn Musaru Cup. I've got to get that all sorted out. Which is, I did some decaling the other day, so I'm making slow progress in getting there. But
Really?
yeah.
What do you put decals on?
Oh, like little, warning signs and stuff like that. Start been doing that.
Oh, right, on the robot thing.
Yes.
On the robot thing.
On the Gundam.
On the Gundam, yeah.
Yeah, well, you didn't paint it as a Gundam, did you? You painted it as a robot thing.
Yeah, anyway. So, what have you guys been doing? Ian, tell us about your adventures with building your new...
I'm still working on that.
Yep.
Last week I got myself... this week I got myself a hutch for my desk. So I've got a hutch now which is about 1,200 long. 2 sets of shelves. The backboard is 18 millimeters thick, which is great, which means I can hang stuff off the backboard.
Cool.
I just got to do a bit of trimming on the center section because it hangs down a little bit.
I would have thought that it would be like way thinner, because most furniture, the back.
Yeah, the backboard's
back is
like really thin plywood, like 6 mil or something. But no, this is 18 thick. It's solid, absolutely. Like the whole hutch itself weighs 44 kilos. It's a solid unit.
How are you going to get it up there? You're going to need a hand.
I built it while it was on the desk.
That
was the only way of doing it.
Way to do it, yeah.
Built it while it was on the desk. So I've got to actually pull it apart today and cut back the centre section, cut it down a bit because it hangs down way too far because I've got the shelves up pretty high.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have like a fair bit of height between the shelves and the desk.
Sure.
Mainly so I can mount my lighting up there as well. So after the recording, I'm down to the local tool store and buy myself a nice new circular saw, and then I'm heading off to the timber suppliers, Bunnings, and buy some timber. So I'm going to make myself a little shelving system to go inside my cupboard because I've got a basically built-in wardrobe system, and I'm ripping a whole heap of kits out of that because I've now got storage space to put them elsewhere.
Yep.
So I'm going to have one side is just going to be all for me paints and me thinners and everything sort of stored away inside there. And after that, today, then I'll go start looking at lighting. So
Speaking of which, we've got an email in from our listeners.
yeah, I'll be keen to see or to read what's been said.
And one of our other listeners also sent an email into talking about some storage solutions as well. Probably wouldn't work for you, but it was interesting anyway.
Yeah, so I'll probably be spending about another $500, but
Are you still coming in under budget?
I didn't have a budget.
A blank check.
I had a blank check, and well, being over COVID and being able to work during COVID and not being able to go out anywhere, I've been squirreling away a fair bit of cash. So I've got a bit of cash. I can really go to town this time, and rather than go half measures like I have for the rest of me for previously, I'm now just going, right, that's it. This is the way I'm setting it up.
Yeah.
And this is how it's going to be for at least the next 10 years.
Yeah, well, the way I rationalize it in my head is, I didn't spend anything for the longest time. So I've got like a backlog of money I should have spent.
Oh, right, yes.
You know? Like, this is what I did. I have $400 headphones that I use at home, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But I used $10 headphones from Kmart for the longest time.
Yes.
For like a decade. So I thought, well, you know, my friends went through, you know, multiple $100 headphones, so I'm probably about right or even in front.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. So
And the only reason why, it's not like I decided I was going to spend $400. It was more a case of my ears get hurt by like even these headphones that Dave has for the podcast, they will hurt my ears if I was in here any longer than we are.
Oh, right, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I can't do headphones that clamp down on my ears. They have to cup around it.
Yeah, that's why I got these ones, because they cup.
No, they don't. What kind of ear is the size of like a 20-cent coin?
No, these ones cup my ears. Do they cup your ears, then?
I think so.
No.
They're not see-through, so I can't really see. They feel quite comfortable for me anyway.
You just got a strange-shaped head.
Right, yeah, that's it.
So getting back to the joys of...
Yeah, well, that's one. Yeah, so back on the revamp is that, you know, if you've... that's how I like to think of it. It's like if I skimped and like paid less than what I really should have over a period of time in the past, then I've got no problem spending an appropriately high amount, or in the present.
So the other thing on Monday is I'm going to place an order with our air conditioning company's filter provider and get a custom filter built for me spray booth. So once I've got that, then I also got to get some lighting for the spray booth as well, which shouldn't be all that difficult. Just get some LED strip lighting to mount on the inside. And just a little bit of flexible duct work to hang out the window, which I can get for free from work. So my spray booth should cost me probably around $200 all up by the time that's finished, which is not bad cost for a metre-long spray booth. It's 500 deep and 600 high.
So when you say you're going to hang this pipe out the window, do you mean you literally every time you go to airbrush, you're going to open the window?
Just open the window, yeah. And just clamp it in the window. I'll just make a little bit out of some off-cut timber, because I'll be getting some timber today, and mount a little 6-inch pop in there, and then just boom, open. All we'll do is just slide the window open, put it in, close the window again, and I'm ready to paint.
Nice.
So look, in theoretically, if it was my own place, I would probably have it ducted out. I'd probably have a proper duct that goes either out into the ceiling space, into a vent out of the roof. But since I'm only renting, I can't really make such drastic changes to the unit, because I'll probably get myself into a lot of trouble with the owner. But because if it was up to me, I'd be doing a lot more. If it was my own place, it'd be a totally different story. It'd be pretty much custom built room.
Yep.
Spend the money in, probably spend about 10 grand and just
10 grand? God, what the hell are you building, man?
Oh, with 10 grand, you could do heaps.
I don't think you would need to spend that much.
Nah.
Jeez.
I mean, like you could do everything that you could possibly dream of.
Have you
for far less.
you've seen what cabinet makers charge these days?
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. I can get spending 10 grand on display cases. That wouldn't be far off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think
Because that's the next thing after I've done all this, and then it's get rid of my 2 little dinky display cases and probably get some proper ones.
Oh, yeah.
Get some shop type ones. I know there's a company in New South Wales that sells them flat pack for I think about $2,000 each or something, and they're properly all lit up and look really nice. So get a couple of big ones of those.
Cool.
But that's in the future. At the moment, it's getting back into being able to build, because it's been well over a month since I've been on the bench, and
I hear you, brother.
and it's
I hear.
I'm getting itchy fingers.
So last episode we did talk about shelving, and you did go and buy some shelves, did you not?
Yeah, I bought the hutch, and yes, and I bought some shelving system from Bunnings. They got this range there. I can't remember what it was. I think Montgomery or something like that, and $46 each. And they're 910 millimeters long, 410 deep, and 1830 high, and they're just lightweights. They're actually lightweight steel frame, which has been powder coated in this grey colour, but they're registered. Each shelf can carry up to 150 kilos. And there's no way I've got 150 kilos on each. Even like I've utilised 3 of them just for books, and even the books are heavy, but even that doesn't even come close to 150. And I managed to get all my kits off the floor, and now they're stored into the shelves, and it works really well.
So are you happy with your storage situation and direction it's going at the moment?
Yes, I am. Yes, I was looking at before I put the hutch up and actually really thought about it. I was actually looking at having to maybe ditch most of my armour kits, which I really didn't want to, because there's a lot of kits there I'd love to build.
Right. Okay.
But now,
because I know you messaged us during the week, and you were when you put up your shelves, and you were like, "Oh, this hasn't even put a dent in my stash."
Yeah, but that was before I got the hutch, and then realised how much more room I had above the hutch.
Yeah, it's that
the ceiling
overhead
space,
storage space that you need to maximise.
So that's all going to now be moved. So I'm going to take some, because I've got kits stashed away in my bedroom in the cupboard there, which I can now take out and put on top of the hutch, and move the armour kits that I know I'm not going to build for a while, move them into another space.
So you've been squirreling away money over time, and you've also been squirreling away kits.
A lot of kits, yeah.
This is what springs to mind when you say squirreling away, like little kits hidden in little spaces here and there all over the bloody place.
Yeah, but the thing that got me was all the different jars of thinners and paints and just empty containers that I've been carrying and keeping away, and it's like, why am I keeping this stuff?
By the way, did you bring those glass jars over?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I'll have to remember. I'll put them aside for you anyway, Dave.
Right,
you can
cool.
have them.
Excellent.
They're yours if you
can
want.
never have enough empty glass jars.
Well, to be fair, he can't put anything aside at the moment,
No.
because
Julian's-
everything is aside.
Julian came past my place after the last week's recording, and he knows what my place looks like at the moment. It looks like a bomb went off. There is just stuff strewn everywhere.
Wow.
So that's been my adventure.
Cool. Julian, what have you been doing?
Yeah, so I painted the car kit that's been in the works for like a very long time.
Which car kit's
This is the Sylvia S15 that I was building for a friend.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got like the resin body kit on it. Yeah. And I did mention that so what happened was I painted it with SMS gunmetal, because my friend wanted to, because I initially painted it in aluminium.
Interesting. We're going to be talking to Scott Taylor from SMS Paints later on.
Yes, we will be.
Yes. So I initially painted it in just an alclad aluminium.
Yeah.
And then after that, I sort of sent him a photo, and he's like, "Oh, I wanted it darker." Okay. So he sent me a whole bunch of like photos. I'm like, "Well, that looks like gunmetal." So I just painted in gunmetal. So I went down and bought some SMS gunmetal.
Yeah.
And I sprayed that on, and then I clear coated it.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
Yeah. It
Really
does
does.
look pretty good. And so what I did is I used a rattle can of clear from Guns, rattle can that on, and then standing by I had my airbrush loaded up with Mr. Leveling Thinner, and I sprayed that over the whole thing nice and wet.
Oh. And
Immediately after,
Yeah,
while the
yep.
rattle can like clear is still wet,
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then I just covered it and walked away and came back the next day and it was all good.
Yeah.
Very, very close. It was quite shiny, not like perfectly shiny.
Yeah.
It still needed polishing, but it was really close. So what I did is I'd bought a variety of various abrasives and polishing
cloths
things.
and so forth.
Yeah. So like I wanted to test out because last time with my other, as you know, my other little car projects that I'd been tinkering on to try and get this method down. So after I painted it, I sent a photo to my friend, and he said he wasn't too sure from the photos if it was shiny enough. And I was like, I really didn't want to polish it because you should see like the shape of this thing. It's like all kinds of different like angular shapes and things, and especially with the body kit on, it's like I don't want to polish all that.
Yeah.
There's chances are I'm going to burn through the clear coat on some corner or something and stuff it up.
You have to start again.
And then I was looking at it and I was like, because I did convince him of it. I did convince him that I didn't need any more than that. And then I was looking at it, I was like, no, I may as well. I mean, it's not for me, so I may as well practice on it. so I did. And I ended up, I cut off, I had this polishing cloth, and it's like 8,000 grit. So it's not that polishy, right? Mm-hmm. It's like halfway between polish and sand, and like really, 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 really fine sandpaper.
Yeah.
So I cut off this little thin like strip about almost like a centimeter wide, and then I was working that up and down there, and I did burn through the clear coat a little bit, but all it did is because what happened, and then it burnt through the gunmetal layer down to the aluminium layer, and it's hard to see because it's quite metallic.
Yep.
It's hard to see, and it's very slight, and it's on very small corners in the middle of things and various,
It actually looks like part
shapes.
of a paint job.
Yeah, it almost looks like an accenting, like almost like the Games Workshop Warhammer where they do the edge highlighting kind of thing. It's in little places like that, and you can barely see it, but when you do see it, it kind of looks like that.
But I'm
So it's passable. It's passable is the important thing to take away from this.
But I'm intrigued by this thing where you use the rattle can of
the Guns Clear.
The Guns Clear, and I guess you put it on pretty thick, or is it just a misting coat?
Oh, reasonably thick. I mean, it's just not. I'm not dumping the stuff on. I wasn't like trying to empty the can.
And then directly on top of that, you put the leveling thinner, Mr. Leveler.
Yeah, because like if you just leave it with the rail can, it'll get quite a bit of orange peel.
Yeah.
But if
did you mist on the leveling stuff on top, or was it?
No, I sprayed it on pretty wet. Like you can see it going on pretty wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want it to get in there and like activate it and really affect it. So misting it on is not really.
So it's like a two-part clear coat.
I suppose. I mean, like, so I got
the paint, and then the leveling thinner on top to smooth it all out.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I've been waffling on about this Japanese modeler car modeler that I've been watching, and he did a similar trick, except when he did the airbrush part directly after, he actually had it with the same, clear, except in airbrush form.
Yes.
And maybe he got a better finish than I did. I'm not too sure. Either way, I got close enough. It doesn't really matter to me.
You were happy with it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so I hit this thing with the 8,000 grit thing, just worked it up and down a fair bit until it has that finish that looks like it's been uniformly affected by it.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't look like it's a bit grainy. And then I just polished it from there. And it was about, I started off working the roof for quite a while. And then I did the bonnet. And then by the end of it, I'm just rubbing it a bit here really quickly, rubbing it a bit there really quickly, because there's all these little tiny other spaces, and I was over it. I'm just freaking get this thing done. Yeah, and
it's becoming a chore.
Yeah, and I got it got there. I then polished it up and then rinsed the whole thing under water and had a look at it. I'm I expected it to be less of a glossy finish, but it came up pretty well across the entire thing. There were still corners that I couldn't get into because of the shape of the thing, of the car. You just couldn't get in there,
So, I know I've started wet sanding after Ian sort of told me I should be wet sanding, and I do that now. When you're doing a highly polished, is that wet? Is that a wet sand?
Yeah, it have to be.
The 8,000 grit thing, that is a wet sand.
Right.
Because these are like polishing cloths, so it's like an 8,000 grit.
And another
cloth.
good idea when you're doing like what Julian's doing is to put like a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid in your water. Makes it slippery.
Yep.
And it stops the sandpaper from catching or the polishing cloth from catching, because what it does when it catches it, that's when it starts doing like micro tears on your clear coat.
When I was doing my Atlas Rocket, I would wet sand. I'd put a bit of soft soap.
Yes.
And I'd actually do it under running tap and just sand it that way.
Yep.
And it was awesome way of sanding.
Yeah,
Love it.
As I said, it makes it slippery.
Oh, it does.
And that's what you want it to be slippery especially when you're doing your final clear coat. You want it to be really nice and slippery.
Best advice I can give is if you're going to be doing this sort of work is or at least doing it in any kind of shape or fashion that I did it in, is cut off a small piece of that polishing cloth and work in small areas, like you can rub that thing across the entire roof of the car, but make sure you cut off a small piece, because if it's a too big a piece, the part that's not touching, like there's the part that you're holding, and then there's the rest of it that is around maybe your palm.
Sure.
You don't want that to be there, because it'll rub on the corners of your model, and that's how you'll burn through all of your layers, pretty much.
You're sanding areas you're not wanting to sand.
Yeah, exactly. That's areas that you can't control, but it's still going backwards and forwards, like because your hand's moving backwards and forwards. And I made that mistake, so I ended up cutting through to the plastic on one corner.
Yep.
At the start, I'm like, no, this is not going to go. So I cut off a piece.
Yep.
Yeah, I can touch that up later. It's fine.
Yeah.
So what else you been doing?
That's mostly it. I'm building tracks for a Leopard 2 that I'm building, and that's I had people because I often say Ming kits are pretty good quality kits, and their workable tracks are good quality workable tracks.
Agreed.
And then people will come back to me with the talking about the Meng Leopard 2 and how the tracks were a nightmare. They are a nightmare. But
over-engineered?
Well, here's the thing. Having looked at the tracks and knowing what the tracks are on the real vehicle, the problem lies not with the manufacturer of the kit. It lies with the manufacturer of the actual tank.
Right.
It's just the way that they design their tracks.
They are German, and Germans love to over-engineer things.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you can imagine, each track link has little linkages to hold them on the ends, as well as the center. And it's in a way it's similar to the Russian style tracks on T90s and things as well. But the nature of this one is that it's just a pain in the ass. You can even look at the aftermarket options and it doesn't get any better.
No.
I mean, the only way the best option for aftermarket was resin tracks with brass pins that go from all the way from the left to the right.
Yep.
And then you got to glue the little resin end caps onto the ends of those pins.
Yep.
That to make up the linkages between each track, and it doesn't get any better.
It's just the way the original ones were designed.
Yeah, there's no way around it. I mean, unless you did a link and length kind of thing, and then it's not going to fit too correctly as it goes around the sprocket.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Don't blame Meng. Blame whoever made the Leopard 2.
There you go.
What about you, Dave?
Well, I don't know whether to admit it on this show or not to everybody, but
you've already said it. You've already tabled the topic, so you can't leave us all hanging.
I know. I think I need to consider handing in my man card.
What?
What have you done?
Well, I went to a model shop yesterday, and I walked out without buying anything.
That's no big deal.
So I've done that. I did that. I went into the Hobby Man on Thursday afternoon, inquired about when they're getting the new
all you've done is
Edward Zero.
All you've done is exercise some self-restraint, right? It just means that there aren't enough good quality kits to tempt you outside of your interests, and within your interests, there are no kits available that you haven't already bought.
There were some kits there that I would have quite happily pulled the trigger on, but I'm just thinking, Yeah, nah.
Yeah, you don't need it.
In fact, I walked around the shop with a kit in my hand.
And what kit
That's
was
the
that?
funny one.
It was some sort of, I don't know, because it was some sort of Japanese kit, and it was from.
You sound like you're really grasping at straws.
Well, dude, I didn't even know what show this was from. It's like this huge oversized bomber. It's in 1/700th scale, which is a really weird scale. And it was kind of like looked like a giant bat type spaceship thing, and it was weird, man. I'd never seen it
Was
before.
it science fiction or like...
Yeah, like their sort of, anime type stuff.
Right, so it wasn't like
Shows.
something like from Porco Rosso or...
I got no idea.
Because Porco Rosso would be like propeller.
Well,
I was thinking maybe the pirate the pirate bomber thing they've got in that movie.
And then I had I was nearly tempted in the Machine Krieger.
Oh yeah, they're a fun build.
Yeah, I know they're a fun build.
I've been actually thinking about maybe hooking into one of mine again soon.
So I was looking at that, and then there was a ship model that really appealed to me, and I just couldn't make up my mind.
Really? You came across a ship model in a model store that actually appealed?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Which ship was that?
Because usually
Oh,
it's the neglected section of any model.
Yeah, funny you should say that. It usually is. It usually is.
Yeah,
That's
normally
what
I
it's
think
like-
because most people find ships can be quite daunting.
yeah, it's mostly
Well-
1/700 scale of this particular store I was in, and there was a couple of 1/350. There's a Tamir do a nice Japanese destroyer, and I thought, oh, geez, that looks nice. Could buy
Modern
that.
or
No, World War Two.
in 1/700?
No, and 1/350.
Oh, the Kagero.
Oh, it might have been a Kagero,
Yeah, I
another
wouldn't
one.
mind getting my hands on. That's a nice kit.
It is, and Japanese, their destroyer designs had such beautiful lines back in World War Two, or even now. There's just something about them that's really, and they were armed to the teeth,
Yeah.
So, and I was looking at it and I was thinking, no, I don't think so. And then I just walked out.
And which hobby shop was this?
You still got plenty
Metro
of things.
in Box Hill.
Oh yeah.
You've still got plenty of things to build in your stash.
I know, and that's what I was saying to myself as I'm walking around. I'm thinking, I still haven't done this, and I still haven't done that. And as we'll get into with the new kits, there's a couple of ships that are being produced, and I'm going, oh yes.
Yeah, save your money for those.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, anyhow.
Anywho,
All right. Shall we get into listener mail?
I reckon that's a great idea, Dave.
All right. Let's kick off with here's the first one. Oh, Daniel Hackett writes in, dear. Oh, that's just quite funny actually. Daniel Hackett sent an email to both us and also Plastic Model Mojo, and he addressed it, dear Mike and Dave. Love listening to your podcast. I'm writing after listening to episode 52 of the Plastic Model Mojo and Kentucky Dave's impersonation of David Goldfinch's slaughtering of names. Jeffrey de Havilland's first name is pronounced as if spelled Jeffrey, as in G-E-F-F-R-E-Y, which is the British and English spelling, not Joffrey, as Kentucky Dave said. So I thought I'd just read that out and just highlight the fact that I'm not the only one who has issues with pronouncing names. So I was quite chuffed to get that email.
You're
So
not
it's
alone
good.
in the world, huh?
Yeah.
That's right, but you are known for it.
Well, I am, and as I said, I've got it's very slight sort of dyslexia. So when I read things, it's anyway, that's me wrong. And I sometimes get my numbers mixed around the wrong way, which doesn't happen when I used to be a teller in a bank once upon a time.
That's a
Like,
scary thought, isn't it?
And it's funny. I can read down columns of numbers, and I can see which one's the wrong one, the wrong one out, and I can sort of spot an issue or a mistake,
Yep.
But sometimes when I'm reading, I get the numbers mixed around, as you guys well know.
Yes.
Anyway. Alan Daniel writes in, hi gents, a comment and a question from Mackay North in Queensland, God's front yard. Yeah, right.
It's a nice area up there. I gotta
Yeah,
admit.
with all the rain they've been having up there, and get cyclones, and
Yeah, but still, it's a beautiful area.
yeah, and all the cane toads, and
Hey, don't worry about them.
all the crocodiles, and everything. You can't swim in the sea because everything's trying to kill you.
Well, same here. We had a shark attack here in Victoria just the other day.
Yeah, we did too.
2 kids got attacked.
Anyhow, I'll try and keep it simple for you, Dave, or should Julian read this email? Ha ha ha. Yeah, good on you, Alan. Thanks very much. And they say we talk funny in North Queensland. First of all, you're doing a great job, and I'm enjoying Ian's modelling, awakening, and having a mental dash and workbench cleanouts. Part of all this is what kits we build, kit sizes when completed, and what scale do you build, and the misnomer that 1/72 scale for aircraft as example by not taking up as much room on the shelf as 148 kits. If you promptly build 72nd scale aircraft in World War II, you'll normally build more models in a shorter time, hence taking up more space by more numbers alone on the shelf than you would if you were building in 48 scale.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is. Alan's plan is to sell, give away, donut, or bin his current build kits and scale up in scales and build less slower. So there you go.
That's not a bad idea. I quite like that idea. I'm going to use that. It's mine now. I'm teaching it.
Anyway, Merry Christmas to you all and yours, and please keep safe over Christmas and New Year's period. Kind regards, Alan, who has way too much time in his hands for living in that part of the world. It's all right. I've corresponded with Alan before, so I can wind him up a bit. But yeah, it's a good idea. Just toss kits away and, clear. And you do that quite a bit, actually. You give away your kits once you've built them.
Yes, I do.
When am I getting the Hurricane?
Once it's served its purpose. I built it for a display type thing with other people's models, and once it's done with that, you can have it.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Lee Edmonds writes in, Dear Benchers, thanks for another good episode. I meant to write to you on the previous episode about storage because I had that problem until we bought a new house. For me, the selling point was the huge shed at the back, and now I need to buy more kits to fill up the echoing chasm in there.
Wouldn't that be the life?
It would be. The latest episode about workspaces was very informative. My modelling space is also my office during work hours, so I have to keep it tidy. Recently, I had to move my A3 scanner to sit next to my computer on the space where I used to do my modelling in the evening. I thought this was going to be a serious problem, but I found it was a great improvement because I put my cutting mat on top of the scanner, which has lifted my working space up about 4 inches and taken away a lot of the back and neck strain. That's interesting. I thought that the curved lid of the scanner would cause problems too, but it has worked out well because the model I'm working on is in the centre and thus higher than the tools that accumulate around it. On the lighting matter, the rearrangement has also brought into more use a combined working light and magnifier that I bought from Vision Australia a couple of years ago for around $300. It gives very good lighting in my work area, and I'll pull it down to use the magnifier when I need it and just push it out of the way again. I highly recommend the arrangement. That's all the best from Lee.
Yeah, that raising the workbench, I've seen that done. A few people do that. And, I'm actually thinking about, I might have knocked something up myself. Just a little table to put on top of the my work desk.
Or lower your seat.
Yeah.
That works too.
Yeah, but I find my seats that are comfortable. And as you know, I've got that saddle seat now, which I use, and that automatically keeps you back a lot straighter.
Yes.
So that's a great idea. I'm really thinking about that. Magnifiers. I used to have a magnifier, but for some reason, it really every time I try and paint something, I always end up stabbing it with a paintbrush because I just don't have that depth.
Yeah, that's right.
That you do when you have bifocular vision.
Yeah, there's no depth perception.
No. So
it's a bit weird. You end up having to gauge distances by shadows. And
yeah.
things like that.
I just found that difficult, but yeah, that's one of the things I'll be looking into today is proper lighting.
Yes.
I like your idea, Julian, with the daylight LEDs, and Dave's idea with a separate light on an arm that I can have over my shoulder facing towards the kit. But some great ideas there. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay, Dave Waples writes in, greetings, some ideas to pass along to Ian for his reimagined workbench. You don't need to report this on the show, but I am anyway.
Too bad.
We're into it.
He's actually posted a picture of a...
Oh, yeah, mobile tool trolley with a bench on top, yes.
Which I have actually bought from my garage to put my tools in. Great idea for modelling. However, geez, they're expensive to buy.
Oh, look, the cost wouldn't bother me. The problem I'd have with that is I just do not have the physical room. Now that I have my desk set up, it's
also not something that's designed to be sat at.
No, but as a storage option.
Yeah, as a storage option
Yeah.
that you can move around. It's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah.
And with all the different drawers, the amount of tools. And the deep drawers at the bottom is where you can store your pots of thinners and so forth. And that's a great idea, David. Yeah, I like it.
Yep, that's from
But
David.
like I said, unfortunately, for my small setup, it'd be a bit large.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so next one comes from Ryan Hothersall. I pronounced that right, I hope. Been listening to your podcast since episode 1, and I cannot believe the snobbery you lot display towards certain kit manufacturers. Unless it is Edward with all the resin and etch, you lot consider the rest of his shit. Have you ever built Italeri, Hella kits, etc.?
Yes, and they belong in the bin.
Also, you lot seem to view 1/72nd scale kits as toys and not worth bothering about. There are plenty of us 1/72nd scale builders out there like me. You lot don't
like
seem...
me.
You lot...
I've often talked about how I build 72nd scale armor for the purposes of winning competitions. Yeah.
And you lot don't seem to be worried about skyrocketing kit prices, even in 1/72nd, where resin etch is not necessary in my view. Many of these kits are getting too expensive. I'm surprised how you lot seem to build anything ranging from ships to science fiction stuff, while I build Cold War to modern day Russian aircraft, and a friend builds any 1/72nd aircraft. I only stray off that path for the yearly build a bitch kit in South Australia Plastic Modelers Association Club. Ryan Hothersall. Well, Ryan, I'm glad you've been with us since episode 1. It's great that you've been supporting the show. Yes, I have built Italeri and Hella kits. Hella kits are a bit... I've got one sitting there. It's never going to be built because it's just a crap kit.
Yeah.
When you say that we're snobby, yes, we are. And what we are snobby about is kits that don't fit together. Why are we spending good money on kits that don't fit? You go to McDonald's, and if you get a hamburger that doesn't have pickles, I bet you'd go straight back and complain about it.
Some people don't like pickles.
Yes, we seem to be quite happy to buy a crappy kit and put up with it. It's time we put our foot down as consumers and said enough's enough. If companies such as Edward or Tamiya or a whole host of other companies that I could mention do produce good kits, and also some of those companies produce some crap kits as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
we should only be buying the good ones.
So I have, there's good kits and there's crap kits, but there's also like good faith manufacturing versus bad faith, right?
Well, I like that term.
Do you?
Good faith manufacturing. What the heck's that?
Well, as in, like, so for example, you can afford Edward a bit of leeway when they get things wrong because they're still trying to get things right. Whereas companies like Italeri and Hella haven't made any kind of effort like that.
Why?
Well, you look at Hella, for example. Most of the Hella stuff's very old moulds too. And
they don't even bothering to produce new moulds. They're just using the same old stuff and just
stuff
pumping out still.
From the 60s.
And to be honest, like
70s.
A lot of Italeri's best work isn't even, at least in 48 scale, is not even their work. It's molds they got from some other manufacturer like Accurate Miniatures.
Oh, in modern times, yeah. But some of the old stuff is...
The best work I've heard from them is their F-104 Starfighter in 32nd scale.
Yes, apparently that's a very nice
supposed to be quite good.
Their 1/35th scale German Schnellboat's meant to be a nice kit.
All right.
But yeah, look, I built their Mackie jet trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that wasn't a bad kit.
And I've got that in my stash as well. I just bought that recently.
Yeah. I've never been a fan of their decals, but that's just maybe I reckon that's special. Maybe there's a special way of applying their decals, but I've always had trouble with them.
Well,
but I said with Hella, I just don't waste my money on it anymore. What's the point?
So we're not snobs. We just don't put up with shit kits.
Yeah,
and we call it out when they are shit.
And the reason I don't talk about Cold War stuff is it's just not my theatre of interest. I talk about stuff I'm interested in.
Whereas I do have some Cold War kits, and indeed all of my real space stuff is in constant scale, which is 1/72 scale.
Yeah.
So within the last year, I did build one Italeri kit that is of their own original manufacture, and that's the CR42 Falco.
Mm.
And that needed a lot of work, more work than is necessary, really.
Mm.
I mean, like, it wasn't even symmetrical left to right.
Yeah.
You could tell it had like that handcrafted sort of feel to it, i.e. it's filled with errors and inconsistencies.
Built with passion.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, I mean, when it comes to the overall look of Italeri as a brand, the decals are probably their only redeeming thing, because they tend to outsource it to Cartograph a lot, because they're in the same country.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
And that's the saving part. So keep the decals, maybe throw away the plastic for Italeri.
Like I said, no, some of the stuff's half decent, but like I said, I draw the line at Hella.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly do. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I am.
Yes, to be honest, like I've looked in recent times to build a few like French subjects, and unfortunately, a lot of those subjects, Hella is the only option.
Yeah. But how
and
old are
that's
the
an
molds?
option I will not consider.
Yeah, and I was at the molds some of the molds are ancient.
Ancient.
Anyway, Ryan, I hope that's answered some of your questions that you've put to us. Good to hear from you. John wrote in, John McAvoy, and he was saying that a last one, he wanted to know if we got to the bottom of what a flat-foot flugie is, or a floy, and we did. And he actually ended up, he sent the email before listening to the end of the show, and he realised that we had. So, and did we ever get to the bottom of the flat-foot flugie Sherman? I don't think we ever did. All I know is I think it's a particular Sherman that was written, that had the name Flatfoot Flugie on the side of it. I don't know which army it was with, whether it was, it'd have to be an American US Army one.
It'd have to be, US Army, one of the US Army divisions.
Yeah, so John, no, I can't help you with that, unfortunately. This is a good one. So Acast9 wrote in, "Hey benchers, first time writing in, love the podcast, and is a good listen for us all for the long bench hours. I'm 14 years old and have been modelling since I was 10, and modelling is a hobby that I enjoy and do a lot. So there are still some kids out there that are not stuck to technology."
Hey, good for you.
Well done,
Yay.
mates. Well done. Also, going back to your episode 123, when you talked about movies, artwork that influence modelers, I remember looking at old Airfix box art that were pretty cool and quite inspiring. I'm currently now working on Academy 135th M113A1, which is a dog of a kit, but a fun project anyway. Take care, keep up the good work, and cheers from the land of the banana benders.
Queenslander.
Acast9.
Fantastic
to hear from a young lad.
But I fully agree. Some of those old Airfix box art were just amazing.
Yeah,
I remember the 72 scale B29 box art was one that really.
Didn't they have to go back and change all the box art or redo it or something because it was too violent? Am I?
They may have. Look, I don't know. With today's ways, it wouldn't surprise me if they took out the flashes from the gun barrels or stuff like that. But
on the topic of box art, so there's a few that I quite like. So Rodin have made quite a few good ones.
There is one specific one. I think it was for their German cargo truck, and it's like in mid-flight with a Hawker Hurricane swooping in behind it in the desert war. It's like machine gunning it. It's just such a dramatic one. Also, their Bronco kit, the Bronco they do where you got the Bronco flying through the jungles.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't a Bronco. It was the Mohawk.
Oh, the Mohawk. Sorry, the Mohawk.
Yeah, that one. That was really cool.
But look, I've got to admit, it's like in that sort of say, it's like when you go and buy a novel.
Yeah.
And you see the cover of the novel and you go, ooh. This all like gets me. Who knows? A novel could be complete trash.
Yeah. But at least it had a very imaginative.
It had a great cover, and it drew you in and made you buy it. But yeah, I fully agree. Yes.
And I also did the Rolls Royce armored car, and that's airborne as well. With things shooting off in the background, explosions, and
I always love it.
And more recently, the ICM, you know how ICM are bringing out lots of kits that have got a Vietnam War flavor to it.
Yep.
Their current Bronco kit, that looks fantastic. There's like a jungle and explosions and this thing's flying over it.
That's what you want.
Really cool.
That's what you want.
In fact, I think
Edward.
Yeah.
One of my favourite ones is the F6 Mustang. And
Right, yeah.
It's just a plain picture of the aircraft over the Pacific skies. I think it's over the Pacific, yeah, because it's got the black and white stripes on the side. But the actual artwork, it's almost photographic.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
So it'd be computer-generated artwork, wouldn't it?
Yes, sort of. Partially, yeah. So the deal is they have a specific artist that they go to time and time again for a lot of their box art. And what he does is he poses 3D models of the planes in the way he wants them to look. And then he brings it into... takes that image, brings it into Photoshop and colours it in, essentially.
Oh, it puts a skin over it, sort of.
Yeah, well,
skins the image.
Yeah, basically he just uses like the 3D models to create a sketch.
Yep.
That he then does his artwork on top of. So
Right.
that's why everything looks almost photographic, realistic in proportion, and why the details are so nice. You know, he does some great work. That guy.
Also,
He's
also
Polish, I
look,
believe.
if they put the effort into the box art, you expect
it does
the
sell a
quality.
kit. It does help to sell a kit.
And plus, you expect the quality of the kit itself to be up to the standard of the box
absolutely.
art.
Also, didn't you get that Mustang as like a poster?
No, I was
you were going
saying
to.
I was saying I would love to get a poster of that picture.
I believe you can get them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Airfix, there was a small book produced with all their
Yeah, I was a certain.
art
I can't remember the guy.
that
I
the
think
guy
his name was Alan. I think.
and just
I think his
recently
name.
died. I'm sure it was
Yeah,
only a couple of years ago he passed
yeah.
away. Yeah.
But he did all the great artwork for Airfix in them days.
fantastic. Next email comes in from Owen Dawson. Season's greetings to benchers. With it being Christmas, we all know what new kit Dave would love Santa to deliver. A 1350 Elizabeth class aircraft carrier. It looks like he's not the only modeler who would like to see a kit of these carriers go into production. When one of the kit designers at Airfix was asked his dream kit to design in the recent YouTube video, he gave the very same answer. Could Dave's dreams be answered in the new year by the elves at Airfix?
Ooh.
Oh, he's hoping. Oh, he's hoping. On a totally different subject, if Ian is looking to overhaul his workbench, I highly recommend he considers purchasing a Falcon Eyes LED RX 18T light panel. These lights are designed for filmmakers, but also make for fantastic light sources for modelers. I purchased one for myself as Christmas present last year, and I think it's the best bit of kit I've brought in a long time. I position it over my bench with a light boom. You could also fix it to the ceiling, and the quality of light that it provides is superb. It's like having a permanent daylight window positioned above my bench. The light is powerful but soft, with little or no shadows cast due to the spread of its LEDs and its light diffuser. Keep up the good work, guys, and hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and New Year. And that's very similar to what Julian... We're having a look now at the RX-18T Falcon Eyes LEDs. And it's very similar to what you've got, Julian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit more expensive, though. It's bigger, but it's also more expensive.
Very good. Yeah. No, I'll be looking into that. Maybe they got different sizes. But I'll be, like I said, at the moment, I'm looking at lighting, whether or not I buy it today or whatever, but or whether or not I order it today. But yeah, that's another definitely a step in the right direction. Thank you very much, Owen.
No problems at all. Okay, and last one. This actually just came in just as we were recording, actually. G'day, David and Julian. Thought you might appreciate this. See attached images.
Who's it from?
It's from Alex Caretti. According to...
Caretti or Carette?
Caretti.
Well,
so apparently Dave pronounced it right the last time.
Yeah, if you look down at PS... P.S. Well done, Dave, for pronouncing my name correctly when you did my Patreon shout-out the other week. Most people pronounce my surname as Caretti. Carrot, as in the vegetable.
Yes.
But it's actually Caretti.
Oh, carrot.
Yeah.
Caretti.
Okay, so that's how most people pronounce his name. Carrot.
No,
Like the vegetable.
And they do it wrong, whereas I do it right.
Caretti. Okay.
So...
Oh.
Shut up, I'm taking a pat on the back.
Well,
let me enjoy my moment in the
A
sun.
broken clock is right twice a day.
According to Spotify, On the Bench was my favourite podcast from 2021, so congratulations. You even managed to beat my top history podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that. However, rather than posting about Spotify Wrapped, a lot of my friends who play bands have taken this opportunity to complain about the absolute pittance they receive for their music being streamed while Spotify is making billions of dollars in revenue. This got me wondering, as somebody who runs a podcast, what's your opinion on Spotify? Is it a good way to get your podcast out to the world, or are there preferred streaming options that are more fair for content creators? Would love to know your thoughts, Alex. Well, Alex, we just put up the RSS feed. There's some apps that you actually have to apply for and send in your RSS feed for it to be picked up. And there's others that seem just to pick it up because the RSS, they can sort of hoover up RSS feeds. And we don't get paid any money by any of these people who are, or these apps that are streaming us. And I'm pretty sure that none of them are putting any advertising on before or after, although I haven't listened to all of the ones that we get streamed on, so I couldn't sort of tell you with that 100%. But by and large, if they push us out, we're quite happy. This has always been a free show, and that's why we sort of rely so heavily on our Patreon supporters to help cover the operating costs of the show. So, I don't really have an opinion on Spotify.
You're kind of asking the wrong people on this particular subject, because this
point.
is more a passion project for us.
Yeah.
And if what little expenses we put into this are equal to what we get in any kind of little bit of money from Patreon, that's fine by us. You know.
Well, I think
We're not making a podcast for profit.
No,
No.
we're doing it for fun.
Yeah. I mean, all I ever sort of wanted was to have the production costs covered and the sort of at some point get the startup costs covered, because I spent probably about, I don't know, because I bought all the top range stuff,
That's
probably
right,
about $5,000 on getting it all set up. I don't know, hosting costs and everything is probably about, I don't know, $40 a month, $50 a month.
Yep.
It just depends on the size of the show we're pushing out and whether I've got to cover extra money for the hosting of it. But by and large, it's sort of our ongoing costs and any new equipment we want to sort of purchase.
I mean, realistically, if you want to make money out of podcasting, you should probably not be in scale models, right?
Exactly right. Get into politics or conspiracy theories or something like that, or ghosts or crime.
Yeah, all the
Crime
true, all that
shows
true
go.
crime
Yeah, I
stuff.
know.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yes, that gets lapped up pretty quick.
Those dime a dozen now. I think
Yeah.
the other thing too
And
is
then also there's a huge difference between podcasts
And music creators.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a whole different.
Yeah.
Because like we could, if we wanted to, we could feature like some outrageous sponsorship, assuming someone would have us. The NordVPN. Raid Shadow Legends type. You've heard that sort of stuff before.
yeah.
Or do a Joe Rogan and pull the various what do they call those things that people who do weights drink? The energy
stuff.
Yeah, all the protein powders and things like that.
Imagine because Joe Rogan got paid like $100 million or something, some outrageous amount of money for his podcast.
Well,
Imagine
you
if
think
we were
how
that
popular,
successful.
exactly. That's where you're coming to. Is how it's successful and how big a listener base you end up
Yeah, I
having.
mean,
Like,
there's
we,
also
we,
the
don't, we,
fact
don't
that
have, we don't have a huge
these
listener
guys,
base.
yeah.
We've got our loyal listeners, the odd person that pops in now and then and has a listen, new people that come in, other people that drop off because I've said something stupid. Who knows?
But see, Joe Rogan, he probably pulls in, 1 million listeners per episode.
Exactly.
plus,
We're not even close to that.
No, I'm not too far off.
Yeah, right. in your dreams.
He was also doing a podcast like 20 years before we even
Thought about doing
yeah,
it.
exactly. So I mean, like, they're completely different animals,
Yeah.
And music, you can't put sponsorships in your music.
No, you can't.
No.
You can't. And I do have to say, and we've skirted around this idea when we're talking about the Wingnut Wings Lancaster and about proprietary stuff and all that. And at the end of the day, the person who's producing the music or who's doing the design for the kit, they need to get money for what they've done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know.
There's no point pinching it.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. How about we have a very short break, and then the Falcons a little bit sort of upset because I told them we're doing a week early. So we'll get back. We'll have a short break and get back and hear what he's got to say about new kits. What do you reckon, guys?
Sounds good, Dave.
All right. Back very shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeller magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeller, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeller, go to www.finescale.com. Okay, welcome back from that very short break, and we have got some news from the Falcon. And the Falcon writes in, "Hi Dave, Ian and Julian. Here I was thinking that I had a week off, but Dave cracks the whip, so here is the aircraft news. Last week I mentioned that LiDARs, a word that I invented, were seen scanning Solent Sky Supermarine Scimitar, or Scimitar if you like. Well, now it's confirmed. The scanning was being done for a model kit. A brand new firm, DBMK, will be producing a styrene kit of the aircraft. The scale isn't set in stone, but money is on a 1/48th scale kit. They plan to release it in October 2023.
Ooh, so it's still a good year and 2 years away.
Yeah. You also may remember Jet Mads, the guy who did a resin 32nd scale Vigan. Well, they've just announced two 1/32nd scale kits for release in 2022, a McDonnell FH-1 Phantom and the X3 Stiletto research plane.
Oh, I love that plane.
In 1/32nd scale, that'd be
Stiletto.
huge, man. Wow.
Such a cool looking aircraft.
Yeah, it isn't
I
it?
think I personally think it probably would have been a dog to fly, just going off the shape of it, but it just looks cool.
Dura Wings have just released a new version of their 1/72nd scale Savoia Marichetti S55, which is the S55A. Markings for 3 Italian and 1 Romanian aircraft. People on Facebook asked Dora if they would be kitting the more famous S55X variants, but a Dora spokesman has replied rather succinctly, not.
Oh.
In military news, Gecko Models have released box art and further CAD renders of their announced 35th scale Austin K2Y heavy ambulance. The CAD looks good, but not a fan of the box art.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
Still with Gecko, they have just shown updated box art and kit contents for their soon-to-be-released 35th scale FV107 CVRT Scimitar Mark II Tesh Operation Herrick. There are 4 decal options, all for vehicles operating in Afghanistan. There are a lot of parts in this kit, so it's not going to be a weekend build. Speaking of a company that does lots of parts, Mini Art have just announced a 1/35th scale German cargo trailer. I think they may have released this earlier in combination with the Lance Bulldog Tractor, but if you just want the trailer, then this is your lucky day. The kit will come with 4 marking options, one being an ambulance trailer with Red Cross markings. Rodin have announced a 35th scale Ford V8 G8 1A Special 1938 model German passenger car. This car was built at the Ford subsidiary company in Germany, and many were pressed into service with the Wehrmacht. Most of the marking options are for army vehicles, but one looks to be a civilian one. Zvezda have announced a new variant of their 1/35th scale T15 Armata for release in 2022. The new kit will depict the T15 Armata with a 57mm BM57 auto cannon turrets. Sevesto also announced a new tool 135th scale kit of the STZ-5 World War II Soviet artillery tractor. That's supposed to be pretty. That looks pretty cool. That one. I've seen pictures of that.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. It's said to be released in winter 2022, so it's either very soon or 12 months away, depending which part of the world you're in, I guess. The CAD renders look like the early ones. 12-month wait. So let me read that again. The CAD renders look like early ones, so a 12-month wait seems the most likely. There was a 35th scale kit of this cute little vehicle from Vulcan or Vision Models. Not sure which it was. Just that it started with a V. The kit is now unavailable as both companies seem to be verflunked. That's interesting.
Huh.
Airfix have announced or have an advent calendar thing going on at the moment and have linked a video which suggests they'll be releasing a kit of the Jaguar E-Type next year. They're giving absolutely nothing away. Will it be a new tool or a re-release? What scale will it be in? They are saying nothing. Speculation in the forums left me none the wiser. Guess we'll have to wait until the marketing guys at Airfix are ready to tell us. That's all for this week from the Falcon.
You know what? Even though the Jaguar E-Type is quite a beloved car,
Yes.
I'm not a fan of the the coupe version.
I nearly bought a coupe when I was 19 years old.
I think it's a car that belongs as a convertible. I don't like the coupe version.
It's going for 12 grand
The coupe version kind of looks like a shoe.
back in the 1980s.
That's pretty cheap still.
Yeah, I know.
What condition was it in?
I was in good condition, but V12 from memory.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself,
Cost you a fortune in fuel
yeah.
and insurance.
And now insurance.
A lot of parts to break.
Back in the day, it was the
Yep.
insurance stuff that was the... Yeah,
Probably electrical issues.
yeah. Anyway,
It's
That
kind
one.
of it's the kind of thing you wish you bought and then
just put away in a shed. Yeah,
Let
absolutely.
Let it collect dust.
yeah.
I've got no idea how much coupe is worth now.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, like everyone sort of wishes that they did some kind of financial decision like that back in the day.
Oh, definitely.
Before we go on to watching in the modelling world, because I've got a couple of announcements. I'd like to extend our thanks and appreciation to the Falcon
Yes,
for
definitely.
his support and hard work during the year.
He's saved us a lot of legwork.
Oh, absolutely. And he gets paid exactly what he's deserved.
He's very much appreciated.
Yeah, and he's quite a good chap, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
Top fella.
yeah indeed. We've got a little something that perhaps we'll look at doing for him maybe in the future. But
Yep.
anyway, more of that another time. Thank you, Falcon. Dave's got some modelling news, and this announcement comes from Trumpeter. They are doing in 1/35th scale.
1/350, Dave.
What did I say?
1/35th.
I beg your pardon, in 1/350 scale.
This is part of your Davisms, right?
Yes.
They're doing the USS CVE 26 Sagamon,
Oh, no.
which is an aircraft carrier, one of the Jeep carriers.
Oh, no.
The Sagamon class were a group of 4 escort aircraft carriers of the United States Navy that fought during World War II. These ships were originally an oiler launched in 1939 for civilian use, but they were acquired and commissioned by the US Navy in 40-41. Let me see. The conversion took around 6 months, and these ships were the largest escort carrier conversions built for the US Navy. So I am very excited about this and cannot wait to get my hands on one.
Oh, no.
I do have a Commencement Bay escort carrier, which I think Fuji did, and I've got my Fujimi, and I've got one of them, but I don't have this particular one, so terribly excited about it. I can't wait for it to be released.
You sound like you've got opinions about this.
I was just thinking I was going to spend more money.
Well, Ian, can I tempt you with something else?
Oh, what now?
Not only is Trumpeter doing that, but check this out from Black Cat Models. They're doing a USS Ward DD-139.
Yeah, but I've already got one.
Yeah, but I haven't. As usual, the hull will be resin casted, all parts finally 3D printed with a PE fret and decals. How is that? That looks
Yes.
gorgeous, man.
It's a nice ship.
It's a nice ship, all right, dude.
So you can finally get your hands on one,
I
Dave.
can finally get my hands on one. Don't have to keep bothering you for it.
Yeah, I'll never sell you mine anyway. I have plans for mine.
Oh, so I can't wait for
maybe
yours.
fictitious plans, but it's plans.
Well, this way you can buy another one and have it as a non-fictitious, and also have your fictitious one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the difference in quality if either of you build one. Well, it would, in order to compare, both of you'd have to build it, and I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Anyway. That's all I've got for new model announcements. What about you guys?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
No.
I've been too busy either working or working on my hobby room.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's time for us to have a chat with Scott Taylor from SMS Models.
Sounds like a great idea, Dave.
Long-time supporter of this particular podcast. He's been with us for a number of years now, and I'm just chuffed that we've got him on the show to have a talk about what he's been doing and what he's going to be doing.
Yeah.
Great supporter of his product. I reckon it's fantastic stuff that he produces. So without further ado, I have a very short break and be back with Scott. And hello and welcome back to the show. And as a special guest for our final show of the year, we have Scott Taylor, the infamous or infamous long-time supporter of the show and owner and proprietor of SMS Paints. G'day, Scott.
How are you guys?
Good. Very good.
That's why.
So how have you've been absolutely flat out producing a new range of paints as well as continuing with all your other range of paints. Before we get right into that as to what you're doing and some of the exciting news you've got to share with everybody, take a step back and tell us what led you to start producing your own range of paints.
Well, it started back in the end of 2015. That's when I started sort of toying with the idea of the paint range. Before that, I was running a business that I was sort of getting tired and sick of. I wanted to change my life sort of direction. So I went down the usual roads that most people do when they're building models. They want to turn their hobby into a business. So I was trying different things like YouTube channels, things like that, and it just never worked out. And then I looked into consumables and things like that for paints as a business. So I looked into it a bit further, and that's pretty much how it was born, to be honest. I just needed a change from the life the business and job I was doing into a new direction in life. And that's how it also kicked off in the end of 2015. 2016 rolled around, and we sort of did a lot of testing and things like that and got off the ground. And then we launched June 3rd, 2016. We launched at Andrew's Hobbies in Melbourne. That was our first store that took us on. And since then, it's like just over 5.5 years now. And we're in over 70 stores across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, US, Canada, and the UK.
So I think we first crossed paths, I want to say 2018 at the Model Expo.
Yep.
And
it was before that. It was I'll come on to your show before the Model Expo one.
Oh,
was,
you did too, yeah.
Episode 17, something like that.
Very early days.
Really early episodes. Yeah. And then I did speak to you again at Model Expo 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah. So what's your modelling background? What's your sort of genre that really sort of gets your creative juices flowing?
A bit of everything, really. I started off mostly doing Gundam. That was one of the main passions I had for a while. I don't do a lot of that much anymore, but I moved across. I was doing a lot of dinosaur modelling, so I was doing a lot of resin kits, Tamiya kits, 3D prints, toy repaints, things like that for dinosaurs, because I've got a huge... If anyone follows what I do, they know that I've got a huge love for dinosaurs and prehistoric stuff.
Well, you got a soul brother here with Ian. He loves dinosaurs.
Yeah. Love them, yes.
Good man.
Yes.
They're fun
because you can paint whatever colour you want.
Exactly, and you're not wrong. Whatever you do, no one can tell you wrong because no one knows what they really look like.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is why I liked Gundams as well, because even though there was screen accuracy, they try and do it. You're free to do whatever you want. There's no restrictions and things like that. So if you do a military kit, you paint it bright pink, you're going to get a lot of shit for it.
Oh yeah, you're going to get canned pretty hard.
Yeah, but from that it moved on. I just pretty much do everything these days. I don't do a lot of aircraft, but I do a lot of military stuff. So mostly done a couple of 35th, but I mostly do 72nd because it's nice and quick and easy and small. It's a weekend sort of project.
And the kits are good.
I'm into 3D printing a lot lately, so I'm doing a lot of 3D printing miniatures and painting those on the amount of time that I've got free, which is very little. It's easy just to print out a little mini and give it a quick paint job just to relax a little bit.
So you mentioned earlier on that you wanted to sort of I'm going to say monetize your hobby. Do something that you love doing. But why paints? Why not sort of? Why didn't you strike out in another area? What was the thing that called to you, or what was the gap in the market you saw in regards to paints?
Well, at the time, there was very little choice for paints in Australia. It was pretty much Tamiya, GSI, Gunsy, and Mr. Hobby, Mr. Colour. And
which, by the way, were hard to come across, the Gunsy and the GSI. That wasn't easy to get.
Yeah, around that time, that was the thing. Yeah, it was very hard. Tamiya was pretty much in everything. That was about the only thing you could get. GSI was only it was rare that it'd come in on a regular basis, and then people were screaming out for lacquers because the thing with lacquer paint, it's tough, it's durable, it's easy to work with. It's one of the most forgiving paints out there because you make a mistake, it's easy to fix compared to a water-based or an enamel. Mm-hmm. So there was a gap in the market that there was very little choice in lacquers. So that's how we sort of started. It was just like that's the inroads into the industry.
And what I've always loved about your paints, there's no guessing. You can just give the bottle a quick shake, pour it, and bang, it's ready to spray. And you can thin it down as much as you want, but if you want to go for your sort of full colour, you don't have to sort of mess around guessing how much to sort of reduce it by. You can just sort of spray straight out of the bottle, and that's for me, because when I first started modelling, and you do your Tamiya, there's always, well, how much do I sort of thin it down by and all this, and the Gunzi is always, how much water to sort of add, and it took a little bit of the fun away. You have to sort of sit there and guess for a little bit when you're trying to get the right formulation in the cup in your airbrush. But with your stuff, you just pour it straight in and spray, which I reckon is just awesome.
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons was that before I was doing that, I was pretty heavily involved in the Gundam community in Australia. And a lot of the constant question was, how much do I thin this paint by to put through your airbrush? And everyone, same thing. Everyone was getting frustrated and was losing the enjoyment of the hobby because they had to try and they're either thinking it too much or thinking it too little, and then they just needed that sweet spot so they could just pour and spray. And that's one of the reasons why we went that route to start off with.
Also, one of the things I really enjoy is the fact that you don't end up with a big amount of loss.
No, that's right. Yeah,
because when you have to mix it yourself, there's always a big chunk of it at the bottom that's gone really thick and syrupy, and then you lose a bit every time you with your stirring stick and all that sort of thing.
It maintains its consistency right to the last drop.
Yeah, exactly. you feel, and at the end you've got a really easy to rinse out container that you can put something else in, right?
Yeah, a bit of thinners and swish it around, and you're good as gold to go get a free mixing bottle.
Yes.
Yeah. Your colour shift range is just absolutely amazing, and I think I've used it's called Galaxy something or other.
Galaxy is one of the first ones we released.
It's called Galaxy Black or Galaxy Shift or something like. I can't remember. A bit embarrassing, but it makes the most perfect base for doing solar arrays on real space model kits.
Yes,
it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Probably there's a black hole.
Black hole, that's it. Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice deep blue to purple, so it looks very much like a solar panel.
Oh, it does. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful colour.
So, did you have any sort of understanding of paints, or did you just sort of jump in blind, or did you have a bit of knowledge in the background before you sort of started?
No, I had a little bit of knowledge. A lot of it I've learned along the way as we went, just tweaking the product a little bit, making it better. But I had a basic understanding of how paint works and how best to apply it especially on plastics, because with an acrylic lacquer, they come in all different shapes and sizes. So you've got 12 towards the hotter end. So they use hotter chemicals in the paint, which will help bind the pigment to the whatever you're applying it to, which is, for example, a car paint is really, really hot acrylic lacquer. So it needs to be like that so it can, adhere to metal. Whereas our stuff's on the lower end of the hotter sort of scale, if you can say that. So there's less strong chemicals in it. So it's only the solvents that it needs to bond to plastic and nothing more, which if you use hotter stuff on a plastic, what will actually happen is it'll burn itself and craze and damage the plastic itself.
Yeah. I mean, I've used a lot of car modelers. They've gotten used to seeing is it zero paints that are on the market, and
yes.
They are the most frustrating things to use because they'll craze plastic through your primer easy. You just lay it down a little bit too wet, crazed. You're back to sanding.
Wow.
That's no fun.
That's what you want to avoid.
It's no fun. I've had it. I'm not going to use that stuff anymore. No.
Yeah.
I don't care how accurate the color is. It's not worth it. I'll happily deal with a less accurate color for me than I have to deal with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
That was one of the main reasons why we really spent time in developing the product so it was right for plastic, because unfortunately, there's a lot of people and companies out there that just sort of think they can just put paint in a bottle and sell it, and it just doesn't translate across to plastic, especially to plastic models. So there needs to be a bit more care and attention into making sure that they're actually fully safe to go on your styrene plastics that we use as modelers.
I completely agree. I mean, it's about consistency. I don't want unexpected problems arising from the various products I use. I mean,
correct.
Always, that's what I strive for. I want to remove variables.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the first time I sort of started using SMS paints is when you started using getting your colours for Australian Army Ozcam, for example. I think it was the first lot I bought off you, actually. And it's just so refreshing just to be able to go, okay, there's a complete set. I don't need to go and mix anything. Everything's just there. I'll just pick it up, bang, put it in my airbrush, and bang, I'm off and done. How do you arrive to getting an FS paint series to the correct FS paint series? I mean, what's the process for, okay, I want to do, for example, let's take Haze Grey, for example. I want to do Haze Grey. I know there's an FS number. How do you then sort of track down the right pigments and all that sort of stuff to sort of get it to what it actually should be?
Well, the thing with FS, the majority of the colours, this is FS RL Australian Standards 2700s. A lot of them are public domain, so the recipes are out there. They're not hard to find if you know where to look. There are a few that aren't actually listed anymore. They're either not listed anymore, or they're not listed because of security reasons. Sometimes they don't put them on the FS; they're actually hidden by whichever government's using them. So for example, the Ozcam green's actually FS 34088, but that's not actually on the charts. It's actually the one on the charts is actually 34087, which is US olive drab, which is a bit different. With olive drab, there's about 20 different shades of it. So FS 34088 is not actually on the charts, which is the lustreless olive drab for Ozcam. So that one we actually, especially with the brown as well, even though the brown itself is listed as 3219, it's listed on the charts, but the thing is it's not 100% accurate because the Australian Army changes a little bit. So with our Ozcam stuff, it's actually matched to real life liquid samples.
Yep.
That we got hold of through our manufacturing partners. So we can. That's probably the only paint in our range we can 100% guarantee is 100% correct, because I don't know if you realise a lot of the time I don't go around telling everyone that we're 100% correct, because the thing with paint is, especially with older stuff like the German, US, Russian, British, Australian stuff from World War II earlier, there's no accurate colour match for it. It's all guesstimates because it was changed so many times during the war.
And that just changed so many times. It was made by different manufacturers. Whether it's applied in the factory or reapplied in the field, whether it's faded over time. There's so many variables that I just can't understand it when people get so wound up, or that's not necessarily the correct colour.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's why. Sorry, that's why we never tell everyone we're accurate, because to be honest, no colour really is accurate, because it depends on the situation it's used in, what you're trying to replicate, how much weathering's on it, what you use underneath it, which part of the war it was used in. So we like to say it's a good representation of the starting colour. And then from there, the modeler can just go and adjust it as needed to, because some people are quite happy just to spray it out of the bottle and they're quite happy with those results. But some people, they're a little bit more pedantic and they want to get a bit more accuracy. So then they can then mix the colours themselves and make their own versions of it. But going back to the FS stuff, it's most of it's common, public domain. So we can get easy access. Anyone get easy access to the formulas. It's mixing up. It's the trying to get the colour match correct, which is the hard part.
I've got no idea how you actually manufacture it, and without sort of, I'm not asking you to sort of share any secrets or anything, but I've got this mental image. You've got all these vats that are sort of bubbling away, and you just sort of come along and pour a little bit of something into each one, and you get your colour. Is that sort of how it works, or is there a bit more?
No, it's not. It's not like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. No, we've got.
It's all digital these days, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, but only some of the colours we mix ourselves. Most of them we get mixed off site through a manufacturing partner. So we get the concentrated formula for the large majority of it. It comes to us, and then that's when I do a bit more mixing and get the colours right and get them ready for the bottling and things like that. So we get probably about 2/3 of it's made off site. The rest of it's made here. It all gets shipped here, so everything's bottled here. In our factory here, but mixing most of the colours are mixed off site to our specifications.
And that was a big step too in the development of the growth of your company, where you actually went and got yourself a factory and sort of moved in. And that was just over a year and a half ago now. I want to say 2 years ago, just as COVID started, wasn't it?
It was about 12 months ago actually.
Yeah.
This is the thing, COVID. It's a shitty thing, and it's ruined so many lives, and it's just a pain in the ass. This thing won't go away, but certain parts of the economy has done really well, and unfortunately for some it's been pretty terrible, but for some it's been good, like us. And hobby stores in general have done really, really well with it, which has allowed us to expand into our factory. So it was the February just before COVID, I actually got the Australian-made certification put in our products, which really helped kick us into gear, because people noticed we were Australian-made. We're truly Australian-made because we had that logo on the bottle. And then COVID kicked in, and just the world went crazy. And then before we knew it, we had to expand from where we were and go into a proper full-on facility here, so we could actually meet the growing demand.
So the demand actually increased over COVID for you guys?
Yes. Yeah. Exponentially.
Wow.
Exponentially.
All those people stuck at home modelling.
Exactly right.
That's an amazing story. That's amazing. So have you got a special machine? Because once upon a time in a previous life, I used to manufacture plastic milk bottles, and they used to go in to get pumped directly through into the milk factory and go to this big round thing, and the milk would get pumped into it. And I'm sure people are saying, how beer bottles get filled. I'm interested, how do you fill all of your bottles? Do you get a little special machine there, or?
Yeah. We've got a couple of different machines. We've got a couple we do manually. So we just stick a bottle underneath, press a button, and it fills up. That's how we fill the new range that's come in. With our acrylic lacquers, we've got a bigger machine that actually does it semi-automatically. So I've got to stand there and fill the conveyor belt up, sends the bottles through. Then the bottles are filled up, goes to the end, we'll put the caps on, put them away. So it's from that we can pump out several hundred, an hour if we really wanted to, and that's pretty slow at the moment. We could really ramp it up if we needed to, but that's our comfortable speed at the moment to get that much out.
And I've got to say, the glass bottles, I actually love my paint coming in glass. I don't know why. It just makes me, I don't know.
Well, like with lacquer, you would want it to be in glass.
Yeah, I know, but I guess I'm used to
Exactly.
it from my early Tamiya days. Getting their stuff in sort of glass as well, and I think Guns as well.
I don't think Guns always been plastic.
It's always plastic, yeah. So, and the handy thing is you can sort of wash it afterwards and all that, and reuse the bottle.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all mix our own stuff of, we don't have that paint on hand, or it's just some esoteric subject that, there's no colour for, so you got to go off road.
Yes.
So with your acrylic range, you've now introduced a new addition to that, haven't you, for your acrylic lacquer, I should say.
Yeah. So we've got the original airbrush ready acrylic lacquers. A few months ago, we released a new concentrated version of that. So think of them like Tamiya is. So you've got to thin it out of the bottle. So they're a 10 ml size. We released those because same sort of problem again. When we first started, there was a shortage on paints, and not everyone has an airbrush. So we thought, well, we'll try this new range. So it's a concentrated acrylic lacquer in 10 ml bottles. No specific military sort of colours. It was all generic, just random colours, reds and greens and blues and things like that, just general use colours, just to see.
Yeah, the primary colours.
Yeah, the primary colours, just so we could get a feel for the market, whether it was something to expand on. They've been accepted pretty well in the last few months. They were released in October, so it's been 2 months now.
They go pretty well with the wargaming crowd, wouldn't they?
Yes, well, that leads us into the range we just released last week, last Saturday, a week ago today, which was our new water-based range.
Yes.
So that's called Infinite Colour. And at the moment, 48 colours are available in that, and it's all 33 of them are primary colours. Then we've got another 5 that are fluorescent, and then we've got on top of that, we've got another 10 that are skin tones. So we're trying to move into that wargaming miniature painting market, because the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff coming in, but it's sort of from international brands. But we find, apart from Vallejo, there's not a lot really, because Vallejo sort of is regularly imported by people like Hobbies Australia into the country, so it's a regular supply of that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to sort of offer an alternative for people to try just some locally made paints.
Definitely.
I've got to say I'm excited about that range too, and I've got to get my hands on some
Yeah,
because
me as well.
there's always that time when you need to reach for your paintbrush and just do a little touch up or a little add on or something like that.
Well, yeah, detail painting.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like
exactly right.
you can't build a plane or a anything with any kind of cockpit or
No.
driving space where you just have to brush paint all little
use the old
details,
paintbrush.
little knobs and things. Yeah.
I think we shared on our Facebook page that release of that new paint range as well. So yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah, thank
excited
you.
to see how that's going to go. Now, paint's not the only thing you do as well. You also do pigments and washes
Yes.
as well,
And tools.
and tools.
Yep, lots of tools.
You can have enough tools.
Yeah, tools by tools. Depends who you talk to. Yeah, we do a lot of weathering stuff. So the washes are all based. So they're an all based paint. We thin right down to a wash formula. They're not too bad. They're not overly popular because the thing with washes is there's too many on the market.
Oh,
So we sort of we had the washes just so we had the washes sort of thing. We don't really push them too hard. The weathering pigments go all right. We sell a lot of those, especially to train modelers. A lot of the railroad guys use a lot of the pigments. And then outside that, we've got a lot of tools. So things like our brush sets and stuff, nippers, knives, our ceramic scraper, which has been...
Your ceramic
Yeah.
scraper is the second best thing since sliced bread. I absolutely love it. Use it all the time.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great tool. It's one of those tools everyone should have. It's a lot safer and easier to use a ceramic scraper to remove those flash lines and mold lines than it is using a knife, because the amount of times, I don't know, you guys have probably done it too, you go to scrape your line off, next thing you know, you put a big gouge in the side of your model.
Yeah.
Or flat spots.
With the scrape, yeah. So with the scraper, it just sort of takes off that raised edge just a little bit, because they're not sharp. They're a beveled edge, but they're not sharp. So they'll remove that flash line, but it won't actually dig in unless you really, really force it. But you don't need to.
And it's really good for getting in those really corner pieces where the flash goes right up into a corner or something like that as well. Okay, magic.
Yeah.
Magic tool. Best tool you've got
totally agree.
in your range.
According to Dave.
According to me.
And on top of that, we've also got their stuff like our airbrushes. as well, which have been very, very popular.
That's good.
The other thing that and you actually do sell some model kits as well on your Facebook, on your modelling part, on your websites.
That's the
Yeah.
word, Dave.
But what I love is you don't just sell the models; you actually match the paint with it and sell the paint and the model all together. So again, it's sort of a one-stop shop. You just rock in.
Like a starter pack kind of thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. What a great idea. I mean, how many times you bought a model kit, and then you spend the next couple of weeks looking for the paint to go with it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I often have to put things on hold because I'm gonna have to deal with the paint at some point. But who knows what I'll have on hand when I go to build it.
Yeah, see, I'm very if I get the kit, I want to make sure I got the paint, so I'm not, when I come around to building it, I don't have to sort of stuff around and wait. So Scott, that idea is brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a few there. We're sort of moving halfway in between. So we've got a lot of kits that are just kits only on the website. We've also got, as you said, the Paints Plus kit bundles, which most of them at the moment are mini art that we got in. So a lot of mini art, military cut stuff on there that which sort of matched as best we could to the color charts in their instruction manuals.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. What's happening in the future? You got any sort of secrets you want to let us know?
Well, we'll be expanding a bit more on this new water-based range, so we'll probably release a few more in the next few months. Got a few other little things up our sleeves to do with Ozcam and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Working on a few other bits and pieces that we can't really go into much detail on because they're still in development. We don't really want to make them public knowledge at the moment.
Yep,
sure.
Right.
But
With the Scott, with the water base, are you going to start looking into doing like military colours?
Yeah,
like
it depends on how well they sell. If these new ranges goes really well, then we'll start expanding on it because we don't really want to invest money into something like if everyone's sort of rusted on with their favourite water-based paint, they're not going to move. It's sort of not much benefit. So really, we want to try and provide our customers with the best possible product, best possible price, best possible, and that's not just for the end user. We've also got to consider the stores in between.
Correct.
Because we don't want to make a product that's not going to do well for the stores because they're the life and blood of our sort of company, really, because they're the ones that keep us going.
Yeah.
Everyone who buys our stuff, they're the end users. They're they really keep us going. But then as the support of the stores in between that stock our products, that's most important because that's how you guys can actually just walk into a shop and buy it instead of having to wait for Australia Post for 6 weeks for them to deliver the bloody thing. We sell more stuff through stores than anywhere else. Like about 97% of our actual physical products go through stores, not actually through our own website. Our own website's only there as a backup. So if you can't get to your local or your local doesn't have it, then you can always come directly to us. But we prefer that everyone goes to the stores because they're the guys who support us, and that's the easiest way that you guys the end users are going to be able to pick up a bottle of paint, especially like a Saturday afternoon when you run out.
Yes.
There's nothing worse when you're halfway through a project and you're like, oh shit, I've just run out of paint. I've got to quickly duck down the road and grab some paint. If you didn't have the local nearby, you're gonna have to wait, a week or two to get your actual mail order to come in.
Yes.
It's got the other thing I mentioned too, your commitment to your customers as well. Because I know you guys run a Facebook page and you're constantly on there when people write in, they've had a problem or something's gone wrong, and not only have you got a great support base there of people with knowledge, but you also jump in and say, hey, have you tried this, or it could be this, or maybe that. So, which is good to see from a manufacturer, somebody sort of in touch with his customer base. So, a big tick.
Thank you. I've always been like that. Even before I was doing the business, I was always involved in groups and stuff, and I was always helping out. So it just continues on. But I think it's more important now these days for the people who actually own and run these companies to just be discussing the products and how to fix things if things go wrong, but it's rare. But to know, so customers do know that someone is actually there who actually cares and actually wants to help them out. And we're only a tiny little company. At the moment, there's only 4 of us. So there's myself, my wife's sister, and then my sister. That's the extent of our company at the moment. So we're only tiny, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how big we get. I'm still going to be there doing the same things we always do now. So I'm always going to be there on Facebook helping it and answering questions. I'll get messages all the time, day and night. I always answer them. Emails directly to us, I always get them. So I always get back to everyone. So
yeah, I can't stress how important it is in this day and age for a company to be transparent with their customer base. There's a lot of companies out there that get a lot of flack because they're completely tone deaf to what their customers want or need, and they don't make the effort to have like a means of connecting with those customers.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Like Games Workshop are kind of known for it in the past. They've gotten better in recent years, but they're well known for being like this iron curtain between them and their customers, Like the need, like it's almost like they're shouting at a wall. The customers saying, "We want this, we want that," and we're happy to pay for it, pay out the nose for it. And only in recent years have they delivered on what customers want, and they've just, as Games Workshop do, they sell plenty of stuff and make plenty of money.
Yes, and it's always good to have the information come firsthand, not through someone else.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, you don't want your customers like guessing.
Guessing
the motives.
But what I mean is like to have like Scott gets in contact directly with the customers. Like otherwise, you're relying on other people trying to give you information. Whereas
straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, straight from the horse's mouth, and you're going to get the right information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Scott, you've moved into international.
Yes, I'm interested in this part. Yeah.
You've reached out. You're into the UK through. Now, I always get this name wrong, and I've been castigated by our listeners. Is it From or From?
Well, I think it's Froome. I'm not sure.
Froome.
I was watching Jonathan Mock's interesting modelling co podcast thing he does with Spencer, and he calls it Froome. So I gather it's Froome. I always called it Froome because we're Australian. That's how we talk.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, the guys over there, they're Luke at Froome Model Centre. He's moved in. He took us on about August last year. They got their shipment eventually at the end of October last year, so they've had it for about 12 months. And the best part was a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you saw the photos, but it was actually all at Telford.
Yes.
Luke was there and he set the stands up and sent me some photos, and he said, "Have a look at this." And it's like, this is probably one of the coolest things I've seen for a while. Is our stuff on display and on sale at one of the biggest model shows in the UK
world,
and in Europe.
Yeah.
And also into the US, you've been growing significantly in there in the last 12 months as well.
Yeah, we've been through USA Gundam Store for four and a half years now. They come on pretty early. It's been a slow sort of slog over there because
Americans love their testers.
They're rusted on into a lot of their local stuff as well. This is the problem we all face. Being local, it's easy. We can sort of easily get stuff around, but getting stuff international, it's a bit harder. But the guys, probably same sort of thing. COVID kicks in and just the world went crazy. And the same thing happened in America that happened here with us. The demand for our products just went through the roof. And we got a couple of shout-outs in a couple of magazines, especially there was a write-up in Fine Scale Modeler. I think it was the January 2021 issue. I wasn't aware of it. It just sort of popped up and someone shared it in our Facebook group. I looked it up and Aaron Skinner, the editor, wrote a big article about different types of paints, and there was a big section on our paints, which was pretty amazing. And I think that's helped kick it off a little bit more. But then the guys, USA Gundam Stores, pushed it a lot. We've got a new distributor now over there that's working with all the stores called Hobbynetics. They're just a wholesaler. And they've been distributing our stuff for the last 6 months or so. And since then, the world's it's got real crazy for us in America. We've been shipping pallets worth.
Oh, wow. That's great news.
It's every couple of months we're doing a couple of pallets worth to America. So it's only going to get bigger from there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what the US is known for, is the big market of consumers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a huge modelling community over there.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, and
Definitely.
you know, in the States there's a huge number of people who will buy like Gundams and buy like even really casually, you know.
Yep.
It's kind of like, oh, you play video games, yeah, you'll you'll have to build one of these at some point,
Yes.
you know.
Very true.
That's
But
fantastic.
yeah, on top of that, the US we've got a store in Singapore that stocks us. That's Hobby Mate in Singapore. We've also got a couple of stores in New Zealand. So Vagabond Games in Auckland and also Franklin Hobbies who's an online store based in Auckland. Jason runs that. Jason used to actually have a store up in Queensland for a while, and then he was New Zealander, but he moved home again and he started up a new store back in New Zealand. So he's been dealing with us for a while and he's doing great guns for us. And we just started in Canada as well. So we've got HQP2, which distribute different types of paints in Canada, and they've just taken us on as well. So
Fantastic.
that's starting to get a bit more traction over in the States and Canada now.
Yeah, so next to be the European market.
Yeah. Well, we've had lots of inquiries for it because we've got a couple of guys in Germany that buy from us, and we get inquiries, but then it's a bit hard to crack into Europe because you've got the likes of AK and Migamo, things like that, the homegrown sort of stuff over there. So it's easier for them to get their own local stuff. Same sort of problem we've got here. You know, as I was saying before, it's easier to get the local stuff than it is to get the imported stuff. So,
out of just sheer curiosity, what would be the chances of breaking into the Japanese market? Because I know it's a big market, but that's like probably the most rusted on, as you say, market there would be.
I have tried many, many times. The closest I've got at the moment, I'm talking to some guy in Korea, so that's probably the closest I'm probably going to get to Japan.
Yeah.
The problem with the Japan, as I said, they're very brand loyal.
Yeah, they are.
And the restrictions of getting stuff in and out of Japan are a nightmare compared to other countries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially with our main lacquer range is class 3 flammable because it's solvent-based paint. So getting that, the paperwork we've got to deal with about that stuff, getting it around the world is a pain in the butt. But Japan is very, very strict on what can in those terms for DG, for dangerous goods, what goes in and out of the country. So we do have a couple of customers we do ship to over there. We use sea freight because that's the only way we can ship internationally.
Yep.
But they're few and far between because they're all. And the thing with Japan too, there's a lot of local little niche little brands that are popping up with little bits and pieces.
Yes.
They got their own little paint brands popping up, and so it's sort of hard to push into that market. As much as I'd love to be in Japan as a main player, it's sort of I don't think it's going to happen for a while.
Yeah.
Unless we get some sort of way in. I did try. I actually went to Shizuoka a couple of years ago when it was 2017, I think it was, to try and get a foothold in there, but we didn't get really far with it because the restrictions.
Yep.
We were talking about going to that show, weren't we?
We were.
Yeah. Never got there.
No.
Oh, it's an amazing show.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I really hope one day we could actually have something like that here in Australia. I've been trying for years to try and get something like it. The closest we got is Toy Fair, which is a trade-only show, but I'd really love to see a trade and consumer sort of show similar to Shizuoka here in Australia, because there's a lot of local producers. It's just the model kits and stuff. Not just model kits themselves, but you've got all the train modelers and all the train guys. They do their own kits and their own products as well. A lot of the car guys do the same things. A lot of resin manufacturers still on the market. Not everyone's turned to 3D printing yet. A lot of guys are still doing the casting and that sort of stuff.
And we even have manufacturers in Australia that are doing, styrene models as well, producing styrene models. So, maybe one day, well,
I think our country's population would have to increase enough to
I don't think so.
Really spur, because that's where the source of this thing comes from, right? More people equals more modelers equals more need, and
okay, but look at Victoria, and I'm just using as an example, and I keep pumping this and banging my fist about this.
Yes.
In Melbourne alone, there's 16 plastic model shops in Metro Melbourne area.
Yeah, but you're comparing it to like Japan, where it had that what's their population, like 180 million or something like that.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if there's so many model shops, there must be a huge demand for models. And you look at the US, and hobby shops are continuing to close over there at a rapid rate. You know, they're losing their sort of bricks and mortar. There's a few still standing up.
Oh, look, we can debate the business side of things till the cows come home, and it doesn't really change. This is the land we live in.
No, but what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at, I reckon there's a market here and the size to support it for a show like that in
Yeah,
in
but it's
Australia.
all about foot traffic. And to get foot traffic, you need population base.
All right, Julian.
We could always pair it up with something like Model Expo, you know, slot it in there.
Yeah, Model Expo and the train dudes and bring all them in and the Gundam. This is what we should be thinking. We should be thinking, you know, more
Expansion
and have a more sort of global sort of view of what we're going to do with our model / trade shows.
Well,
I really do.
But we're still somewhat in the COVID era, and until that sort of clears up a bit, these things are difficult.
Oh,
Yes, true.
oh, maybe if somebody can. It's a thought process for somebody moving forward.
Yes.
Scott, geez, we're coming up for nearly 45 minutes. Is anything else you want to sort of expand on or let everybody know? And also, don't forget, can you let everybody know where to go to get your paints and your products?
Yeah, definitely. First thing I want to do is just to say a quick thank you to everyone, like whoever's been buying our products for the last 5.5 years. I really want to say thank you from us here at the Scale Model Supply, because without you guys, we wouldn't be in the position we are. That goes for everyone who buys it to use it, and that's also all store owners who buy it to sell it. Without everyone who involved in our supply chain, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So we just want to say thank you very much to everyone. We hope you can continue on with us and follow our journey for the next couple of decades, because I hope, as far as I'm concerned, this company is not going anywhere. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. And if you wanted to check us out, website scalemodeler.com.au, and that's Scale Modeler with 2 L's, because that's how we spell it in the rest of the world. .com.au, and that's our main website. On there, there's a link to all our stockists, which is scalemodeler.com.au/pages/find a stockist. That has an interactive map which will actually show you your closest store based on your location. So in Melbourne, it'll come up with 1 billion dots, because that's where most of our stores are. That's stockists. As Dave said, most of the hobby shops in Australia are in Melbourne. And Facebook, we're all on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, under at the Scale Model Supply. Twitter's at SMS Paints. And so as we were saying before, if you message us, email us, do anything like that, it all comes directly to me. So I'm the one who sees all the emails. I'm the one who answers all the emails. I'm the one who talks to you. So feel free to always reach out if you've got any dramas, issues, or just want to say thanks. You'll always get hold of me.
No, Scott. It's been a pleasure being associated with you and the growth of your company. It's been very exciting watching you grow. And if it wasn't a good product, there's no way I'd sort of be advocating it or having you on as a sponsor for the show as well. It's a darn good product. So, as a good musician once said, do yourselves a favour and try it.
Which musician was that?
I wasn't a musician. It's Molly Meldrum.
Yeah.
Oh,
but our international guests wouldn't know who Molly Meldrum is. So. Well, actually, he was a musician because he was a producer of...
no one cares, Dave.
Okay. All right. Scott, thanks for being with us, mate. Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas.
We'll see you in the new year.
We'll probably see you at Expo too.
Yeah, at Expo, absolutely.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, thank you very much.
No worries, mate. Catch you later.
See you, Scott.
Well, that was a fantastic interview with Scott. Always good to hear from him.
Very nice bloke too. Very approachable.
Oh, the paints are so gorgeous. I can't wait to try that new range. So
yeah, me too.
Pretty keen to
get my hands on a few of those.
Absolutely.
Really refreshing, that interview, I reckon. It was, he was very down to earth, very normal, very average, normal guy.
Yeah. A
And
regular
so
modeler.
It's always good to see an Aussie company get up and sort of step onto the international stage as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So onwards and upwards for Scott. Yeah. Definitely agree.
All right, guys, this is the last episode for the year, and as I mentioned earlier, we won't be back until
The 8th.
8th of August. August, you idiot. 8th of January next year, so that's quite a ways away. In the meantime, I just really need to do a shout-out to all the other fantastic podcasts out there. So we have the Sprue Cutters Union, the Small Subjects modelling podcasts, the Model Geeks, Just Making Conversation, Plastic Posse podcast, and of course a model podcast. And all of those shows can be found in one fantastic location called modelpodcast.com, which Stuart Clark set up, and it's the one-stop shop for all of your modelling podcast solutions, so to speak. Please give all those shows a try, and thank you to all those shows for the fantastic content that they've pushed out this year.
Definitely.
It's only helping grow the hobby, and we're all good mates. And from time to time, we actually get together on a Zoom call and talk shit.
Yes, that we do. I always look forward to those Zoom conversations.
Yeah, we do. So we
It's a
should
lot
do
of
that
fun.
over Christmas, maybe, see if we can get one going.
Yeah.
And of course, to you, the listeners, thank you very much for
Yes.
making it a great year again.
Yeah. Thanks for putting up with us.
You make it sound as if we're intrusive people that sort of drop in.
They came here of their own free will.
That's true.
Like, you know, I mean, at that point, it's on them.
Yeah.
But we've had fantastic support from everybody. And, of course, you can always drop us a message on our Facebook page. You can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Don't forget, guys, because we're taking a significant break, a good 4 weeks, don't be too upset if you don't sort of respond to your email straight away. Gosh, we're going
Because
to
we'll be on holidays.
we're gonna have a big email bag when we get back.
Should be good, yeah.
It's going to be huge,
Be
man.
massive.
Oh, well.
I'll keep us occupied for at least one episode.
We'll see how many bouquets and brickbats there are.
Yes.
So do you reckon you'll start a model over this break?
I must finish. I must finish the Musaru Cup because that is required to be done by the 9th of March, and I need to finish the model and get it over to you to get it photographed
Right.
so that we can submit it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my number one thing, and I've actually got a couple of aircraft models I wouldn't mind getting into, to tell you the truth.
Yep.
So, funnily enough, the Italeri and the 1/72 scale, and it's the F-35 and the the X. What was the contender, that Boeing one, that ugly aircraft?
Not sure, mate.
The X-34, X-31, I think it was X-31.
Right.
Anyway, I've got them to build, and
Oh, Dave's going to build some aircraft for a change.
yeah, and I don't know, really whatever piques my interest. For me, work-wise, this is a busy part of the year 'cause we're coming into fire season. So,
Yeah, that's true.
you know, I could be sort of, dragged off at any minute and sent off to an incident control centre somewhere, and who knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Be-
just tough, man.
Yes. Yeah. You can't plan for anything.
I can't
No,
plan for anything at
Very
all.
true.
And funnily enough, I nearly got sort of whisked away this weekend. We had got some severe flooding over in the far east of the state, so thankfully I missed out on that one. So Michelle's got me pegged to go and buy a Christmas tree this afternoon, which means I'm going to travel out and cut the darn thing down and
Lucky you.
stuff it in the car and bring it back. And I
No
don't, it's,
choice.
I get all these itches. I suffer from hay fever. For some reason, a freshly cut pine tree just exacerbates that.
Yep.
It just drives me nuts. So I'll dose up on some drugs before we go out. I think antihistamines, load up,
Antihistamines, yes.
full of sleep as I'm driving the car.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
And of course, it'd be very remiss for me not to call out you, Ian, and you, Julian, and thank you guys very much for being part of the show again
worries.
this year.
No
It's
worries.
always enjoyable.
Yep.
Love
Not
doing
only
it.
are we good mates, but it's good to have you on the show as well as I don't know, co something,
Co-hosts.
co-host.
Co-hosts, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Co-hosts, yes. So my plan from now on is hopefully before my Christmas break, which is less than 2 weeks, is to at least get my modelling room up and running. I don't think it'll be completely finished, but at least workable. Basically, I just need to do a base for my Canadian machine gun carrier, so I can finish that off. And I was going to start my Claymore class, but Chris Meddings told me to hold off because he's got some updated parts he's shipped to me.
Oh, really?
So
very good.
I might find a small project to slip in between. Yeah, who knows? I might even do one of my MAK kits, my Mac kits. Who knows? Maybe bust open one of those ancient old Nitto boxes and hook in the one, because they're a pretty quick build, and it's mostly just build it to paint it. Give it a good sci-fi paint scheme and go from there. Who knows? Or who knows? I might even pick something else. You never know. I've got plenty to choose from.
Here's what I'd like to see you build. I'd like to see you build a Japanese plane. You've built quite a few Pacific allied birds, but you haven't done any of the other side yet.
No,
but you're hanging out for the Zeros to come out from Edward, aren't you?
I still have other planes.
Yeah, he's bought quite a few.
Yeah, I've got a fair few. Except I don't have a Raiden yet.
Oh, the Raiden.
Yeah, still got to get a J8M1 or something. What they were?
I'm not sure.
Mitsubishi Raidens, massive cockpit that you can basically run around in circles inside. Considering for a fighter aircraft and for the small stature of the Japanese at the time, that it's such a massive cockpit. But I do have a lot of Japanese aircraft.
You've got the Sonya, which I've heard has some issues when you build it. It's because it was one of their earliest kits, so they were still finding their feet. But it's a beautiful looking.
I've got the Sonya, I've got the Saiyan, I've got a Tony KI-61. There's a fair few. I've got an old Oscar kit, which I think maybe Nitto, I think. That old Oscar kit, it's an old kit from the 70s, but it's got full engine detail, great interior detail.
Rose panels?
No. Recessed with rivets.
Seriously?
Yeah.
From the 1970s?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
70s or early 80s, yeah.
Seriously?
It's a pretty old kit. Not sure that the decals look pretty average. But most of the markings on that you just paint anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a fair few. Yes, it could be an idea, Julian. I might hook into a Japanese plane. Who knows? I've got plenty to choose from.
Well, you still got to fix up your workspace first.
That's number one, and that's what I'll be working on today.
And I think that's what I'm going to concentrate on too. Get a couple of new desks, and then try and figure out how I'm going to get that old desk out of the office it's in. I'm going to have to cut it up in place in situ.
You shouldn't have put it together the way you did.
Well, screws and good as nails.
Yeah, that thing's going to be. Well, it's a solid enough desk because it's not a modern desk. It's an old school solid timber desk. It's not like plywood.
I know, man.
So remember how much that weighed?
I know. I moved it in there. Yeah. I'm telling you, I know. Oh.
But it's a good sized desk. That's the thing.
It's actually too big. To tell you the truth, it's too deep.
Too deep.
It allows you to put too much more crap on you and distract you.
Yes.
I'm in my new setup. I'm hand on heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to go for a clean desk approach.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Which
is difficult because I'm a sloppy builder. So.
Well, just put lots of permanent storage space on it.
Yeah.
Underneath it, I will. Yeah.
No, on top of it because it's too deep. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like the current one.
Yeah.
I have. It's got all the paints up there and everything. It's driving me nuts, man. It's driving me nuts. I spent all this money. Well, that's the other thing too. I spent all this money on these, paint rack things.
Yeah, those little laser cut storage racks.
Which, they look awesome, but...
They look awesome,
and
right?
they're such dust magnets. All the dust gets in between them, and I've got to get rid of it. So, I think my son's going to be a beneficiary. I'll have to sort of... I wonder if I can flat pack them and send them over. I can't remember if I glued them together or not. Anyway.
You just would glue the crap out of everything, don't you?
I want it to be permanent, man.
You didn't wood glue them to the desk, did you?
I want to be there for a long time, not
a short time.
Not a good time.
Yeah. So what about you, Julian? What's your plans?
I want to knock off what couple of kits I've still got that I haven't thrown away that are in the pipeline. I want to get rid of this car.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first order of business. I do have the Edward boxing of the Mackie 202. Is it the
the Folgore, yep.
Yeah, the Folgore. Yes, I still got that to do.
Is that the Hasegawa molding?
Yes.
Yes.
So I mean, I need to sort of get the wings on that, and because there was some photo etch that I glued up inside it, and for the around the wheel well, and where it all comes together, and that peeled off. So I have to glue that back down, and then assemble it, and then blah blah blah, and then I can paint it.
Yes.
And then it'll be off to the races, I suppose, with that thing.
Yep.
That'll move along quickly, hopefully. There's a few things like I've got like a couple of things that are waiting on bases from you.
Mm-hmm.
No,
oh, that's right. Yeah. Unfortunately, my modelling room is more important at the moment.
Yes, that's fine. They're not too bad. I mean, it's not like I've got them like sitting around on my desk taking up space. I can put them back in boxes and things if I need to.
Yep.
And I can still do some work before I have to mount them to anything.
Yeah.
Not too much more, but yeah, it's not too bad. Then I really do want to start something new.
Yep.
I could start something new right now. It'd just be, another looming thing above my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Best to clean off and start the new year fresh with an empty bench.
Yes, I agree. Because I would love to start, like some of the projects I keep eyeballing and go, I should start that right now. Is that... was it Schleswig Holstein 1350, old-timey ship?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's also the car kit that I got, the Datsun 240Z. So I've got to build that before they bring out some aftermarket stuff for the newly released Tamiya.
So you're going to do that factory?
Datsun 240Z.
You're going to do that factory finish, or how you'd see one on the road today?
No, because I've got
mismatched panels.
No, this one's got a body kit and everything for it as well, like this current one I'm working on. So it'll be in that similar sort of vein, but I'm going to do that in a nice sort of off-white color.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it'll be nice. It's got really nice wheels. You should see the wheels that come in this aftermarket set for it. Because it's got all the body...
like the anodized gold color or something.
No. I mean, so it's got all the resin body panels and things, for like the flared wheeled arches and things. But the wheels, they're resin spokes that fit into a turned aluminium, what do you call it? Rim.
Oh, rim, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that part I'm not going to paint.
No, you don't.
I just need to paint the spokes and then glue them in.
Oh,
it looks
very
so
cool.
good.
Yeah, it will.
And they're really
great.
deep dish too. I'm looking forward to that. There's some Warhammer things I've got there as well. Then there's the Rodin Gladiator, 148 scale Gladiator.
Yeah, I've got one of those in the stash.
Yes, so I've got all this SBS resin to do all the engine up and
oh,
everything.
Really? Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the really cool thing is the scheme I've got for it, which I'll now that I've got some hours into using the silhouette cutter, I'll be able to cut my masks and paint all that up.
Nice.
That'll be for an Australian ace that flew
in Malta.
Gladiators in Malta.
Yes.
Yeah, quite the story. His plane got knocked out and had to land in North Africa, and he fixed it up and then flew his way home.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it's a really quirky scheme too. It's like a merge of like two different schemes, one on top and one for the rest of it.
Oh yeah, very cool. So they've basically just painted over the original paint scheme.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Scheme.
It's very cool. Oddball. So I've got all these projects they're really cool. I really want to start them, but I've got all this junk, all these half-baked projects, lingering around all over the place.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I know.
Don't we
just
all?
pick one and do it, brother.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
it.
I should just.
True.
I really should.
All right. Well, that's pretty much taken us up to 2 hour marks. One of our longest ones in a long time.
That's the last one for the year.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
about appropriate.
Totally agree.
All right. Season's greetings. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to all our listeners. Ian.
Thanks for listening. Thanks to all our sponsors and listeners. And we'll see you on the 8th.
Julian.
Well, hopefully our listeners can make use of the silly season and get some time on the bench.
And get some new kits too under the tree.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, like just because I'm not getting anything new doesn't mean other people aren't.
No.
Go for it. Use your time wisely as you can.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for listening. We'll be back with season 6 next year on January the 8th. Meantime, adios.